it's Jenny from Missouri Star Quilt Company. Well, I've got another fun Christmas idea for you. Today we're going to make these little stockings. Remember, the whole world is your pattern. So you can pattern these out of anything. You don't need an actual pattern. If you have old stockings that you like but they're worn out, you can use that. Or you can just trace around, you know, if you have a sock you like, a shoe you like, anything you like. So I have made this pattern right here. Kind of taped up 3 pieces of paper, but that works because anything you can use for a pattern. I also have some flannel here that I've quilted, and this is one of a cute Christmas pattern that we have quilted on this, but you can just quilt it in rows like we do the bags on your own personal sewing machine, or you can use just plain fabric. These don't need to be quilted. I'm just doing it because I like to, you know, it's just okay, what I do. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to fold these. You can do it wrong sides together or right sides together. They just have to be opposite sides together. I want to see where I'm cutting on my flannel, so I'm going to do them wrong sides together and lay this foot on here. And I'm just going to pin this pattern on to secure it to the fabric so when I cut around it doesn't slide. And then I'm just going to cut around this real easy like. So what I'm going to do when I cut this out is I'm going to leave about a ½ inch all the way around, because this is pretty much the size I want my finished stockings. Stockings are kind of an interesting thing, because if you get them too small you can't get anything in them, and if you get them too big then you know it's going to cost you an arm and a leg to fill them up for those kids. So this one looks to be just about right, so we're just going to go ahead and cut it and leave about a ½ inch on the outside to do our seams. That's going to be our seam allowance. So it'll come right along here, and right here, even as it curves in, I'm going to curve in a little bit, then I'm going to come out and around this heel. Make sure your pieces are laying straight underneath. Right around this toe. There we go. Now we have our stocking shape cut out, as you can see. And the next thing we're going to do is cut the cuff. This cuff is about, it's about 4 inches. And we have the most delicious flannel in the shop right now. So I'm in love with this flannel. So this is this nice snowflake flannel. I don't know if you can see that, but it's going to go so cute on the top of the cuff with this little snowman flannel. So I like about a 4-inch cuff, so I'm going to cut this 9 so that I have room to, you know, just to fudge a little bit and to put my seam in the top. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 right here. And then I'm just going to slice that off. Here's my rotary cutter. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off these salvages, which are the factory finish raw edge over here. I'm just going to trim those off. And then I'm going to go ahead and measure the width of this top of this stocking right here. It looks like it's 38 inches. I mean, I'm sorry, not 38, I'm 38 on the mat here. It looks like it's 8 inches all together. We're going to take a half an inch or an inch off for the seam, so that'll be 7 inches. So we're going to cut this 14. Because I'm kind of a fudger, I'm going to go ahead and cut it 15 and probably take a bigger seam. So let me just go ahead and cut this off here at 15. And then right here, this little piece, this is going to be, I'm going to cut a 2½ inch strip off of this to make my little tab for the top. The little thing, this is the little thing that you hang it with on the fireplace. All right, now let's go into the sewing machine. Okay, so we're going to unpin this stocking, the pattern from the stocking. And then we'll put that over here, and then we're going to turn these right sides together because we're going to flip it inside out. So we have that all lined up. And we're going to stitch it it's a fat 1/4 inch. I don't know how to say that exactly. kind of a fat little quarter. Get that lined up. And I'm going to back stitch just a little bit because I don't want that top to pull open when I'm putting that cuff on. So we're going to go right along here. Now I will probably go back and serge this with my serger because I have one. You can always go ahead and zigzag across that open seam just so it doesn't ravel. Flannel is so forgiving and easy to work with. I just love it. And this is just, the lining of this is just normal muslin. Now if you're doing a regular stocking that isn't quilted, you don't have to line it. I mean, it can just be regular Christmas fabric, wrong sides together, you know, cut out your stocking and stitch it up. These even make really cute gift bags, and they go together so quickly. I mean, right here while we're filming this will be together. And so you can use them as a gift bag or, you know, for their regular purpose too, I suppose. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to turn this right side out. So we'll just fold this top down and kind of push this foot through here. I've seen cute stockings in all shapes, you know, like with the high heel and a boot and all those kind of things. So it's just really fun to make a pattern from something you have, you know, where you're kind of resourceful and it's just fun to see what you get. A little trial and error doesn't hurt, but this is just great, isn't it? Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make this the little tab that hangs your stocking on the fireplace. So we have this little 2.5 inch strip. We're going to fold it right sides together, and we're going to sew across the top 1/4 inch and down the side 1/4 inch. So let's go ahead and do that, and I'll tell you why we're doing that in just a sec. So we come to that. Now we're just going to go straight down 1/4 inch. Okay, now let me grab my scissors. I'm going to trim this close so it makes it easier to turn. Not too close, but you know, close enough so it doesn't bunch up in there. And across the top and clip my threads. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of open this up right here, just like this. And you know, mostly when you turn something, you turn from the open bottom. Well, I'm going to show you this new way that's so fast. So I'm just going to stick my pencil in this crease right here. You don't want too sharp of a pencil or it'll poke through. You can use a knitting needle, or if it's big enough, anything, you know, that's long and straight. Now we're just going to pull this fabric down over this pencil. Let me see if I can get this going here. This is so cool. It's great for like when you're making drawstrings and things. Then you just slide this down the pencil like that. And see, there is the right side of your tube, and I use my pencil to poke out those corners, so that's a finished edge right there. And then I just pull this off, and it's completely turned. Isn't that amazing and fun? Okay, so I'm going to go and press this down at the iron, and I'll be right back. So here we have the finished tie. And we've gone ahead and trimmed that off. It's about 6.5 inches. You'll want to make it however long you like it. Now we're going to start on the cuff, and this cuff is 4.5 by, not sure how long that was, but remember what we need to do is measure it to the top of your sock so that you get the right width around that you need. So what we're going to do is I'm going to hold this on the seam right here, and I'm just going to walk this around and make sure that I have enough cuff for my sock. And it looks like I'm going to end up just about perfect with once I get a seam in there. See, I have a little room for a seam. So I'm going to go ahead and take a seam, and how I'm going to do that is I'm going to open up this cuff like this, and I'm going to put these two ends together. I want this to end up the same width as the top of my cuff. So I'm going to put these two ends together, and I'm going to take a seam. sometimes you just have to play with it a little bit to get it to fit. You can measure this and be really accurate yourself. I'm kind of a fly by the seat of my pants girl. So I just love to see what I can do and what comes out of my brain. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to set this cuff down inside the stocking like this. We're going to line up those back seams and just slide this in around the top. It should fit good and snug so that we're able to sew it around. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and sew this right here on the outside. And I'll show you why in a sec. It's just like the bags, how you turn them right side out. But we're going to go ahead and sew this along here. So you line up your presser foot, make sure your edges are lined up. And we're just going to stitch along here. We're going to do another one of those fat quarters. And you just keep making sure that cuff lays up there really nice. And then what I'm going to do right here before the end is I'm going to take this little loop right here, and I'm going to stick it straight down in here in between the cuff and the stocking. And that will give me my good loop. And I'm just going to lay that in there like that. Stick a little piece out so you can see, make sure that it's sticking out. And then I'm going to sew across that and back stitch. Then I'll pull that out of there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to trim this off right here. And then we're going to flip this cuff out just like this. And see, when you fold it down over the top, it gives you that nice finished edge on the inside where there's, you know, where it's just all in there so nice. And then you're just going to take this little loop and you're just going to tack it down here and you'll have a loop to hang your stocking with. So how's that for fast and fun? Here's another quick Christmas tip. Another quick Christmas tip from the Missouri Star Quilt Company.